The love affair with cars is at an all-time high, and that means car buyers or car owners are investing more in keeping their cars in tip-top shape. And as a result, the car care industry is really booming and growing. And I have with me today Vivek Mohan, the director of Vista Auto Care, talking to us about the whole car care industry, what products he's introducing into the market. And overall, Vivek, I think, this is a segment that is definitely growing, and Vista Auto Care has cashed in on it. So just to start off with, to kick off, and just an overview on how this segment is growing.
Hi, Hormazd. Thank you for coming down to Bangalore and to our experience center. So I think the industry is looking very exciting now. Just to give you an absolute figure, from 2023 to be, market size being about 300 million, it's expected to grow at a 4.5 to 4.7% CAGR to about, let's say, a 450 to 500 million by 2030. But now that's the data. But if you actually look at how our growth journey has been from these said years, let's say 2023 to 2025 right now, we've been growing at a 38% CAGR. So that kind of explains on how exciting the industry is and how big the opportunity is looking. And definitely, I think overall there has been this love for vehicles and also keeping the vehicles in a new condition, which is definitely catering to this driving demand.
Right. And, is the demand a little cyclical? We've got into the monsoons, early monsoon this time. Is that a period when people, let's say products go, that there's more, because obviously monsoon takes a toll on cars, especially the exterior. So just wanted your sense on that, and a few tips also on, for the monsoon, what car owners should do in kind of keeping their cars in good shape and protecting them from the elements.
Okay. So there are seasonal products. Let me put it that way. I mean, I wouldn't say the entire bunch of care products or vehicles are like seasonal based on season. I mean, based on, let's say, a monsoon or a summer. But there are certain products that definitely, go up in terms of demand and sales during such season. Now, for example, we have a product called Rain Shield. This is a windshield water repellent.
Rain shield.
Rain shield.
Right.
So what the product does is, see, it's inevitable you have to use a wiper when it's raining, but then it reduces the wiper cycles. Now, what happens is when the product is applied and when you're driving the car, the water is naturally repelled. So that reduces your wiper usage, thereby actually having a better sort of, life for the windshield and for the wipers. And the other product, for example, now, I guess you're from Bombay, you would have seen a lot of waterlogging that is happening across different metros, be it Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, Chennai when it rains. So, of course, we have an underbody coating that prevents from rust. So, what happens is when there is the underbody of the vehicle is where the water actually comes in contact first, right on of a car. So, once it's dried out, if there is moisture present, that could cause rusting. So, underbody coating is something that, you people should use ideally to keep their vehicle safe during monsoon. And apart from that, if there is ever a water entry into the interior of the vehicle, could be through your aircon or whatever, this could actually further kind of help. I mean, it could aid in the growth of molds, which could cause a malodor. So keeping your interior clean through interior dressers, we do have a product called the anti-bac, which kind of neutralizes these bacteria that grow. So that is generally keeping the hygiene of the vehicle going. So enhances the life definitely, let's say from an underbody coating point of view, but it's a way of taking care of it.
And what about alloys, tires? Again, clearly, especially tires, I think, again, kind of a perishable commodity in that sense. Rubber is.
See, first, I mean, what these products aid in taking care of these components, right? I mean, first, what you need to do definitely once there's tire has been in contact with water for a long time, first thing is once the water is drained off, you need to ensure that you wash it and then you coat it with, let's say, a tire dresser, because that kind of repels the remaining water that is there. So that enhances the life. Now, I cannot tell you in absolute terms as to how many kilometers will that enhance it by, but that enhances the life of the tire. Now, if there's a constant contact of moisture and you haven't really cleaned off, because the water has a lot of impurities that can further aid, tire rubber is a natural product that could further deteriorate the rubber. So these are products that would use to enhance and, protect the...
Right. And, also, again, I just want to finish talking about products. I think one really, I think a product high value product is ceramic coating.
Yeah.
Do you see a demand for that growing clearly, because it's expensive as well, relatively, compared to a lot of other products? And what's really driving this kind of demand for people really wanting to protect, let's say, the exterior as much as possible?
Which, let me ask you a question before that. So, do you give your car for regular service?
I do.
And why is that? To ensure the car drives
Absolutely, yeah.
well, right? And that's the importance given today for also how the car looks. It's not just how the car drives. I mean, there are cars there are users today. It could be starting from, let's say, a taxi user to, your high-end car users. Everyone likes to keep their vehicle looking good. And that's where the ceramic coating comes into play, right? It's to ensure. So it's not just protecting the paint. That is one of the benefits, but it is also to enhance the gloss. So let's say usually now you take a white car. When the paint oxidizes, it looks dull. What the ceramic does is it enhances the gloss. Now, the answering the question of what is driving the growth, one definitely is the want the want to keep your car looking fresh. And the number two is, if you look at the used car market, is big in India.
Yeah.
It's big in India. And when the car is transferred from, say, from one owner to another, everyone would like to buy a car, even if it's used, but that looks
as new as possible.
Yeah. So that's where, that drives the demand of these products.
Right. So do you find there's you think that's interesting? Do you think when people are selling their cars, to get a better price, I mean, there's a last bit of coating done to make it look good? Or do you think the owners, after they buy it, they kind of, let's say, give it up a coat?
Works both ways. So to be honest, when, let's say if you're selling a car to a dealer and then, from the dealer to the next owner, usually they do a bit of work to ensure the car looks fresh. That could be on certain exterior detailing. It could just be a plain waxing also.
Right.
So the waxing, again, gives the fresh feeling. But then how long does it last? That's a big question.
Right.
So there are, people who buy the car get a ceramic coating done, because if you look at our product, we claim a 3-year validity and we have a product for even 5 years. So that is for the longer lasting of the product, but also these services are offered even by today's service stations and dealers. When
Right.
the customers come in to buy a car, they offer they offer the customer the service. So it's a choice.
Right. And tell me, Vivek, the trends you're seeing, where do you see the growth? In which line of products are you seeing maximum growth, and why do you think that is?
So, Hormazd, before that, let me just take you through the ranges that we operate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can see behind, we have the Car Care, Bike Care, Pro Care, and Performix.
Right.
Now, all are DIY products for vehicle upkeep. For, let's say, four-wheelers come under Car Care. So, focus primarily on the DIY part.
Right.
DIY is always a segment that has existed in India. I mean, even back before there were innovative products like this that are there in the market, always there were people cleaning their car with what was available with them. It could be a basic soap or shampoo that you use for yourself, which were used in vehicles also. And of course, now there are tailor-made products for your cars, right? Now, interestingly, there is a growth in e-commerce. There are platforms like, let's say, your marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart.
Right.
And today in metro cities and even tier 2 towns, there are your quick commerce platforms.
Just move to cart and you can get the product. So very easy access to it.
Exactly. You get the product in 10 minutes. So there we see a growing demand for the products, because these platforms also give opportunities for brands like us to market within these platforms.
Right.
So there we see definitely a strong growth. And bike care has always been pretty large.
That is a traditional DIY market in any case.
It's a traditional DIY market, from actually lubricating your chain.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the car, there's a DIY when it comes to to keep your car clean. But when it comes to just pure like an oil change, people don't do it themselves. They go to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But in bike care, it's very different. Right from cleaning your chain to your lubricating your chain, even adding, your oil additives is done by it's done at the showroom level or the service level, but it's a large part of it is also done by the user. And then comes the Pro Care. Now that's where we are seeing a lot of interest and a lot the growth coming in. The Pro Care is all the professional, where what we call the appearance chemicals.
Right.
All the appearance chemicals fall under the Pro Care. So the Pro Care chemicals ranges from your rubbing compounds to your polishes, waxes, and your coatings.
Right. So typically what you do at a detailing center or a garage.
What you do at a detailing center. Because today, detailing, so it's interesting. Now what you see in front of you, you have a ceramic coating and graphene coating. This is something that is done at a detailing center. You need professionals to do it, because there's a way of application, post-application, your car needs to be cured for a set amount of time between 36 to 48 hours. And that's when, the coating is it gets bound to the surface, and that's when the longer duration and the longer lasting of the chemicals come in. But interestingly, now we have launched a product which is a ceramic spray where you can apply it yourself.
Right.
You can just spray it onto the car and
Really?
you can apply it by yourself, and it does not give you the life of a ceramic coating,
But
it gives
similar effect. And
similar effect, and it gives you a good duration of life. And that is why we are seeing the demand growing. We are seeing the Pro Care demand actually growing well.
right.
Because when it comes to, there are certain scratches. Now, if it's a deep scratch, it's affected your paint, the only option is to repaint that part.
Correct. Yeah.
But if it's just a scratch on your like the clear
Or
coat,
top coat. Yeah.
the top coat, you can remove the scratch. Even if it's a hard scratch,
Right.
you can remove the scratch. So that is where the compounds actually come into play.
Right.
And then we have a whole range of waxes that gives you
Right.
what we call the mirror finish. Once you've done once you've done the compounding, the rubbing, and then if you're not going for a ceramic compound, you apply the wax and it gives you a mirror finish
Right.
where you can clearly see the light reflecting. You can see your own reflection.
Right. Right.
And the other one is Performix. So Performix is our additive range.
Right.
We have products ranging from petrol additive to diesel additive, engine oil additive.
Right.
For two-wheelers, your throttle body cleaner.
Right. Right. Right.
So that is the range of.
So that's more for the engine.
That's more for the engine.
Right.
Added to the car care, we also have a range of fresheners that go under the brand Aura.
Yeah.
So that is something that, to be honest, if you have to just look at the market, your freshener market is larger than your typical car care market.
Right.
Because you just get into a regular taxi,
Yeah.
you will definitely see a freshener.
Yeah.
So that's when we thought, okay, why don't we explore that area also? So now that we've classified under the
Right. So Vivek, that leads me actually to the freshener, which is about what I'm going to talk about. Goes beyond being chemistry or a science, to get that smell.
Right.
And I just want to take what is the talent you need in this, because it goes beyond just being a chemist. I think there is some sort of
beyond just a scientist.
Yeah, there's some sort of let's say proprietary skills which individuals have, and obviously it's a challenge really to tap and find these people, and even maybe get them or poach them from other kind of more established players who've been there for many years. What is really the secret sauce? Really, is it really the mix of finding what kind of combination of chemicals that really works? I mean, I think smell and fragrance is something which is there's no real secret formula for that. It's just a kind of a way,
it's very subjective. For example, the smell you like is not necessarily the smell I like, right? And that's a good question. So this started as a passion project. Primarily, I mean, we saw the market. I mean, we know that we always knew the market is large. Market size is large, not only domestically but also internationally, globally. Then we thought, hey, why don't we explore this opportunity? But then we wanted to do it right. So we realized that the current talent that we have probably is not the right fit for this segment. So we looked at where actually this category of fragrance is growing. And if you actually look at where fragrance is growing, there are two main categories. One is home and the other one is personal.
Right.
So I think everyone is particular of the perfume they use.
Yeah.
And how their office smell or how their home smell. So we tapped into that talent, and then they have been with us for a long time before we actually even launched the product, developing various combination of fragrances, studying the data of what is the sort of fragrance people actually prefer, what is the sort of fragrance. There are a lot of studies, on fragrance that are used in cars, because it's very interesting, Today, if I use a particular perfume on on my body, is not necessarily the perfume that I would like on the spaces that I sit.
Right.
So there's a lot of data, a lot of study that is, done, and a lot of data that is collected. And based on that, we have, handpicked the fragrance and created a formulation on that.
Right. And lastly, Vivek, just to been very fascinating. You've given a great insight into, the car care segment. Really so many elements to it. And, you've got an experience center here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what exactly is it? Is fundamentally, is it people bring their car here and it's generally detailed with all your products? Is that really what it basically is?
See, of course, the long-term plan or the vision is for that. But, why we set up this experience center is we have a research lab.
Yeah.
So what happens there is where the chemicals are formulated, right?
Right.
Where the products are designed and formulated. And of course, it's later produced. The challenge over here, what we've realized is, we can't really look at theory and conclude a launch of a product.
Right.
We really need to test it out on the vehicles on the
You can do trial and error by formulating.
Yeah.
That's totally okay. So it's like a lab.
This is a lab. So what happens is we have different bays over here. Probably I'll take you around and explain each of that. Starting with the washing bay. So any product, be it a regular car shampoo, is first tried and tested there. Now there are various types of car shampoos. There are, your snow foam shampoo, your hydrophobic shampoo. I mean, the list is endless, right? So all these products are tested there to whether to see like, okay, is it actually soluble in water? How does the dilution work? Water hardened. I mean, Bangalore's got hard water. Now we have to take that one factor into consideration. Does it really work well with hard water? Does your dilution really work well? So we actually do a real world testing here. And then we have the cleaning bay where all our cleaning products are, tested over here. Then your paint prep bay and your coating bay.
Right.
This is where we test our compounds and waxes, and there is where we test all our coatings like your ceramic and graphene. So the whole idea of establishing this lab is to actually test our product before it goes out into the market. Because end of the day, I always put it this way, like nobody needs an extra car shampoo. Nobody needs a ceramic coating. But it's a value add that we are bringing to the customer.
Right.
It's an experience that we are giving the customer. So we should ensure that what we give that experience to the customer. So we are very stringent on our testing process or procedure before it goes out into the market.
Right. So that's quite interesting. You just make it 2 blocks down and test it over here.
In fact, it's quite interesting now. Majority of the R&D team members spend their time here.
Wow.
But even they are curious to
Right.
see how their product is performing on the vehicle. It's not just the data which they have or
Right.
have.
Right.
I want to really see how it works in the real world.
And last question, Vivek, Vista, obviously you're up against some established names.
Yeah.
What's the way to compete with them? Is it just with product at the end, or you think you would need to even have a marketing push to let people know you're out there?
It's a combination of both. I would say it's more on the solution aspect. I mean, you cater to the problems that people are facing. Yes, there are very well established players. We also learn a lot from them. But I would also say they also learn a lot from us. There is, when you're operating in the Indian market, there's always space for new people because that's how large the market is. It's very clear on the data. If you take on monthly how much cars and bikes are being sold in the country, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And from that point, there's always a place for a lot of people like us. But apart from that, like what I said is on the solution side, what you offer, I can't provide a solution which I feel caters to only my problem. There is on a day-to-day now after a monsoon, for example, we'll take this example. A lot of people face issues with their vehicles post-monsoon.
Right.
So do you have solution to the problems that they're facing? That is where brands like us come in and cater to those problems.
Right.
And of course, to kind of push this concept into the market, of course, there is marketing that is required. There is brand building that is required. There's a lot of education that is required. And that is something that we do alongside developing products.
Right. Well, Vivek, great to see that this has been a real labor of love, a passion for you. So clearly I can see a lot has gone into this. Obviously, I think we can see, your approach. I think it's fantastic to see that fundamentally you're using your strength of being rooted in the chemical industry, and that's what these products are, and bringing that expertise to this sector. I think that's really, I would imagine that's really one of your strengths, isn't it? Yeah. So I think,
our parent company is Wessel Chemicals.
Yeah.
Wessel has been in the industry for over 3 decades. Primarily specializing in the textile, personal care, and the agro space. So, of course, we are deeply rooted in chemistry. But more than that, it's also the love and passion for automotive that has got us here.
Absolutely. I think that combination of having that deep-rooted expertise and the passion. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Hormazd. Thank you.
And really look forward to seeing Vista grow.
Thank you.
Thank you.